there once again. This is Ishmael Sistrunk from the St. Louis American and STLamerican.com. Here today with Palmer Alexander III, a Rams Roundup columnist. Palmer, the beginning of football is here. We just had week one. I know you were excited to see the season start. My column last week, that's also football season is here. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm hyper. A lot of people I know were talking about going to the game against the Minnesota Vikings. And we were looking at the game with a lot of hope. You know, we saw what the defense did last season. We saw what Zach Stacy in the running game did last season. We saw the team seemingly coming together, added some new parts. Like every team at the beginning of the season, you look at them and you say, man, we got these new toys. Right. These guys are going to be good. This is our year.
Yes.
And
the coin toss.
Right. After the coin toss, our dreams were shattered. 34-6 loss to the Minnesota Vikings. And this is a Vikings team that has generally been picked to finish last in its own division.
Right.
They're not seen as a quality team. They have Adrian Peterson, of course, but other than that, they don't have too much. Why did they beat the Rams so bad?
They beat the Rams so bad because they executed. They got great play from the offensive line. They got the ball out quickly. Even when the Rams tried to bring pressure, nobody was getting there. And they did a good job of putting the ball in the hands of the playmaker. I mean, the Rams did a great job containing Adrian Peterson, but at the same time, they couldn't control Patterson whatsoever. The Rams were missing tackles all over the place, guys being out of position, poor gap assignment, things of that nature. And you got to give North Turner a lot of credit too for the Vikings. I mean, he knows Greg Williams. He's coached against him many times before, so he knew exactly how to game plan for this Rams defense. And it's just unfortunate, watching that display. And they gave you a better respect too for the Minnesota Vikings, the way the athleticism of the offensive line. I mean, you had your linemen, you had your guards pulling around and getting 10, 15 yards down the field, looking for somebody in a blue uniform to block. And that's one of the main reasons why the Rams lost yesterday.
Okay, you talked about Cornell Patterson. He's a wide receiver, right?
Yes.
I'm new to this NFL thing, but he's a wide receiver, right? So he had 3 carries, 102 yards. Adrian Peterson, who's, one of the best running backs in the game, probably the best running back in the game, 21 carries for 75 yards. They just shred the Rams defense apart with the running game between those two.
Yeah, and like I say, North Turner did a great job calling plays because the Rams were solely focused on stopping Adrian Peterson. The last game he ran for over 200 yards against the Rams. Now you add a second dimension to that. And, basically, North Turner knew that the Rams were keying in on him, and he only touched the ball 3 times. But even all 3 of those touches, when Patterson got the ball, everybody was completely out of position because they're chasing and stalking Adrian Peterson. So it was a good job of North Turner creating misdirection also and getting the line moving one way and then running in the opposite direction. And then the Rams were just missing tackles all over the field on top of that.
Yeah, he reminded me a little bit of Michael Vick when he first came into the league, where he was obviously much faster, much more athletic than everybody else on the field.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like yesterday or Sunday for Cornell Patterson. Let's talk about the Rams running game now. Going into the season, we talked about this, or the Rams talked about running back by committee. Like I said, Zach Stacy had a very successful season last year. Zach Stacy had 11 carries for 43 yards. Benny Cunningham, 5 carries for 21 yards. Not a lot of work. Was this simply a case of being too far behind, or why didn't they get as many carries as we might have thought?
I think it was a combination of both, but the defense was holding the Vikings. This game was pretty close up to a certain point. It didn't help that Sean Hill threw that interception before going into halftime. But, the Rams' offensive line was bad, too. Davin Joseph, Barksdale, Scott Wells, Roger Saffold. All of those guys were completely awful in the football contest. And then this whole running back by committee, I don't understand it. I mean, that's complete hogwash, because if Zach Stacy is your guy last season, okay, and maybe he's not getting nothing done, you yank him out for a series, then you put in Cunningham, and then you yank him out, you put Tavon Austin in. But where's Trey Mason? Okay, if you're going to do the running back by committee, then I think that you should also give Trey Mason some carries. But he wasn't even dressed to play. So, you got your third round pick, and anytime you pick somebody within the first 3 rounds, they supposed to be making a roster, and they supposed to be impact players. He wasn't even dressed to play. Davin Joseph was playing left guard, but you drafted Greg Robinson with the number 2 pick overall to play left guard. He's not even playing in the game.
Now, one thing I will say, and I'm going to apologize to Trey Mason for the level of disrespect here, but yes, he is a high draft pick, but as we saw with Isaiah Peed, high draft picks don't necessarily translate to play on the field.
Well, if the Rams draft him, of course.
Okay, well now, since we're talking about guys switching and by committee, let's talk about the quarterback. Shaun Hill was tabbed as the guy, the starter, once Sam Bradford went down. He was described by Fisher as a guy who doesn't make mistakes. He didn't look very well. We saw him get pulled for Austin Davis. Now, the reason we're told is that there was an injury. You seem to have heard maybe differently, that he's not injured, or is he not as injured as they say, or what's the deal with that?
Listen, we talking about a thigh injury. Okay, and nobody really knows the magnitude of the injury, but for the most part, when a quarterback is in the game, he's pretty much there for the duration of that football contest. I mean, this kind of reminds me of when he pulled Steven Jackson in 2012, when Steven Jackson had the mysterious leg injury. I mean, you call shenanigans on that, and I'm calling it again, because when Shaun Hill threw that interception before halftime, that poorly thrown ball, he got yanked out of the game. I mean, just say that's why you yanked him out of the game. I mean, it's like you're insulting the intelligence of the fan base, okay? Because had he not thrown that bad pass, would he have kept playing? Because he said that Shaun Hill had injured himself earlier in the half. So up until the ill-advised pass, he was moving the team up and down. Well, not up and down the field, but his numbers wasn't bad.
So going forward, do you think that Shaun Hill, should he be the guy, or do you think that Austin Davis did enough? I'll give you their stats. Shaun Hill was 8 for 13, 81 yards. Austin Davis was 16 for 23, 192 yards. Is there a quarterback controversy? There's
no quarterback controversy. Neither one of those guys are any good. So let's in there. I mean, Austin Davis, even with the numbers that he had, he holds the ball too long in his hands. You got to get that ball out your hands quicker. And that's the one thing the Vikings knew. I mean, Mike Zimmer took heed. He sees a rookie quarterback in there, a guy with not a lot of NFL experience, and he brought the house towards him. And look, he made a lot of mistakes. He wasn't going through his reads fast enough, and he held on to the ball, taking sacks, not stepping them in the pocket. I mean, that's what you do to a young quarterback. So again, and then plus the Rams were behind. They had no choice but to throw the football. So I don't think Austin Davis is the answer. I don't think Shaun Hill is the answer. But also, what is going on with the offensive line? I mean, it really doesn't really matter who's quarterbacking Ishmael if the offensive line is not doing a job. I mean, everybody looked like they didn't even know what their responsibilities were. So it's a total breakdown on this team, and the whole organization lost yesterday. I mean, completely. They completely failed yesterday. The offensive line, the defensive line, the coaches, the quality control staff, every damn body failed in that loss.
The concession salesman, the T-shirt failed. Man, everybody. No, I'm going to tell you talk about everybody failed. I'm going to tell you two guys who didn't fail, which surprises probably everybody out there, because these are two guys that are kind of known for failing. Jared Cook had a nice game out there. Brian Quick also had a nice game. Quick, 7 receptions, 99 yards out of 9 targets, so only 2 balls that he didn't catch. Jared Cook, 4 catches for 56 yards, which is for a tight end, a quality game. Your man, Tavon Austin, was absent a little bit. Now, you thought he should have gotten the ball more? Is that the issue?
Yeah, that's the issue. That's always going to be the issue. You look at the things that North Turner was able to design for Cornell Patterson, and you can tell me that Brian Schottenheimer couldn't have came up with nothing more creative for Tavon Austin. 3 runs out of the backfield and 2 passes behind the line of scrimmage. That is the worst play call. I mean, that is awful.
Now
That's
all
completely
last
awful.
season though, Palmer, all last season you called for Austin to get the ball in the backfield, to line him up in the backfield. They did it. He didn't really produce.
Wait a second. You gonna run Tavon Austin between the center and the guard? Is that absolutely asinine? Your fastest, smallest player on the team, you're gonna design a play for him to run between the center and the guard. How brilliant is that?
Hey, I agree with it, but I remember thinking when I saw that play, and that was my thought, I was like, what are they doing? I said, well, Palmer said put him in the backfield.
Yeah.
They did it.
I should have been more specific.
Well, here's one thing for me, and again, I don't like just to criticize Tavon Austin, but, I think people look at anytime he doesn't succeed, people say he didn't get the ball enough, he didn't get enough opportunities. But when you look at him as a punt returner in that game, he continuously put the ball on the field. And that can't inspire confidence from your coach when I think it was 3 times where he put the ball on the field trying to return the punt.
Well, you know what? High risk, high reward. I mean, we lived and died with that when Isaac King was returning. I mean, you know what you got in him. I mean, though sometimes you have to give up something to get something, and he's still a home run threat for the returning kicks. Yeah, I mean that is disturbing. That is disturbing because this team can't afford to be coughing up the ball at all because this team is very flawed. So I agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that. I can't disagree with you. At the other hand, the reward that you get for getting this guy more touches, I mean, they need that because this offense is stale, it's stagnant, it stinks. This is awful.
Well, I'm going to say the reward that a player gets for putting that ball on the ground for me is a seat right on the bench. Not going forward, but in that game, I don't have any problem with him not getting more touches because he really did not earn it.
Yeah, well, then what? So you want Austin Patterson returning kicks?
Do something. Put Trey Mason back there.
You gotta dress him. You gotta
or the other Trey or something.
Trey Watts.
Trey Watson,
Yeah.
Trey Mason, whoever. Somebody who can catch the ball. That's the most important thing with Isaiah Hakeem. He did drop the ball, but he could pick it back up and still make a return out of it. Tavon Austin would drop it and, it's either dive on it or you get tackled immediately. So being a kick returner, the most important part is to catch the ball.
Absolutely.
To be able to,
Absolutely.
to be able to return it. Let's talk a little bit about the defense here. Why did they score so many points on the Rams, the Vikings?
It was, one, they didn't make the right adjustments. I think, again, North Turner knows who he was coaching up against, who he's matching wits with. If you know that they are trying to get that ball out as fast as possible, and this defense is supposed to be aggressive, then you want your guys trying to jump routes. You may as well have guys playing a little bump and run. I mean, you had guys playing off 10, 12 yards off, and allowing Greg Jennings, to run underneath. I mean, they dropping Eugene Sims in the coverage. I don't understand. I really don't understand. If this pass rush, this formidable pass rush that they have, and they're already having trouble getting to the quarterback, why the hell are you dropping your damn Eugene Sims off in the coverage and then you expecting him to, make a play? You know what I'm saying? Damn near 10 yards away from the line of scrimmage. That's not his forte. His forte is rushing and passing. His forte is blowing up the run, being disruptive. Not 15 yards in the field trying to, play the middle of the field. That's I don't understand that. That's the same thing when Peterson broke the 82-yard run against them a couple of years ago. It was the same thing. You had your tackle bailing out of his position, and getting completely out of position, then a damn big play happens. I don't understand that, man. You need to have all four of those guys going upfield, raising hell, wreaking havoc, being disruptive, and I just don't understand that.
But this is Greg Williams, man. He's the savior, right? He's a kamikaze, bring that pressure.
Oh, there was no kamikaze. It was none. It was none. I mean, wasn't nobody getting there? There was nobody getting any pressure. Again, they did a great job calling screens, misdirections, things of that nature, keeping that defense off balance. The defense never got into a rhythm. But again, the defense didn't have a lead to play with either.
Yeah. The offense was bad. Was really bad. And just overall, I mean, just such a disappointing loss. Again, a lot of people were coming into the season with high hopes. There were talks maybe the Rams can sneak into a wild card or, at least go 500. And you lose 34-6 to a team who's not picked to do well. And again, a lot of your high draft picks didn't necessarily play or weren't impact players. And I said all along, I really wish that the Rams would have drafted a quarterback. Even if Bradford is healthy, you want to have a successor in place where he's able to be groomed and sit a season or two. So I think that really hurt the Rams. But this game is over. It was awful. There's no excuse. The Rams have Tampa coming up next. They're a solid team. They're not a world beater. They got a new coach down there. What will the Rams do? Are they going to look just as terrible, or do they rebound and make a statement against the Buccaneers?
Something. I really after the way that they lost. After the way they lost, you really don't know what is going to happen with this football team. You know how when you look at a schedule before the season begins, you say, something. Okay, this is a win here. They win here. This is a tough game here. And listen. The way they played in the game against Minnesota, who can they really beat? I mean, Minnesota, and like you mentioned earlier, I mean, they was a team, I think they was 5-11 or 5-10-1, something like that last season. I mean, that's a game you're supposed to win at home. Right. And Tampa really is not that good. They're in a rebuilding process, but this is the Rams' first game on the road. And I mean, I don't know what they're going to be able to do because, one, Schottenheimer doesn't have any kind of imagination whatsoever to be able to design something and create mismatches with the talent that they have. The Rams do have talent, but they don't have a guy that has the mental acumen to be able to create the type of mismatches to get you some damn points on the board. And furthermore, Greg Zuerlein needs to start making more kicks. I mean, how is it that you will miss a 50-yard field goal, but then you will make a 56-yard field goal that went 70 damn yards? That is the most ridiculous thing I ever seen. You know what I'm saying? Because they need points badly. They can't afford to be missing any opportunities, for something positive to happen. I told you we've been talking about it for months lead up to the season. The Rams season is pretty much going to hinge on what this offense is going to be able to do. Brian Schottenheimer got to do better. The offensive line got to do better. They got to do all that stuff better. And what's a Rams game without a Roger Saffold injury? It wouldn't even be right without having a Roger Saffold injury. Wouldn't be right at all. I mean, he's probably injured every body part. Every body part. He's probably broken Pisatini Samoa record for the most injuries in Rams history.
So the Raiders are over there laughing.
Oh, yeah. The joke's on you, Jack. What you say, buyer's remorse? That's what you call it. You called it buyer's remorse.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what it was. Everybody knew that's what it was. But they look smart for it now. So going into this game with the Buccaneers, I mean, what's your pick? Will the Rams, will they get it together? Will they get this victory? And actually, before you go into that, this is what I was going to say. It was funny. I was talking to a friend of mine this weekend before the game, and he's just really, really excited about the Rams. Told me he thought they could start off 5-0, which I told him he was crazy, but he was that excited. So the fan base really was looking forward to that game, and that's just a huge, huge letdown by that team.
I mean, they cheated the fans. They robbed the fans. They completely robbed the fans. They should be ashamed of themselves, for that type of performance. I mean, the fan base has been loyal. They've been sticking this joint up for a very long time. And this is what you do. This is the product that you put out on the field. You get beat that bad on the first game of the season. And then 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Viking fans are cheering, "Let's go Vikings." I mean, that's the most disrespectful thing that can happen to an NFL team on opening day. On opening day. You know, the Rams, hey, listen, St. Louis Rams, they are very fortunate to have this fan base that they do have. Because the St. Louis Cardinals, they was barely drawing 5,000 people in Busch Stadium when they was stinking this bad.
It's a long time ago. Long time ago. All right, so back to the question, who wins this week?
Tampa's going to win this week. Tampa's going to win this week. I mean, come on. I mean, you think Tampa's going to win this week. One, Austin Davis is going to be the quarterback. Two, Brian Schottenheimer is the play caller. There you have it. For those two reasons.
Yeah, and I'm going to have trouble picking the Rams, even though I think they can rebound from this just awful start. I don't think they were ready. They weren't prepared. I don't think they're going to play this bad the entire season, but after that, I have too hard of a time to pick them for the win, so I'll say Tampa as well, but I think it'll be fairly close. I'll say 24-17, Tampa.
So you actually think that? Hey, man, I just really don't see it, man. I mean, they struggled scoring 6 points yesterday. They struggled scoring 6 points yesterday against a mediocre, Minnesota Vikings defense. I mean, they struggled mightily against the Minnesota Vikings. So, and what do you think they're gonna do? Against Ahmed Golston, and they do have a decent front four in Tampa. So I don't like their chances. I don't like their chances whatsoever against them. One, again, they on the road, and two, they have no continuity at all. None. Miscommunication between the quarterback and the receivers. The quarterback not scanning the field. I think it was one play, Sean Hill rolls out of the pocket, and he completes a pass to Chris Givens, but he just completely ignores Tavon Austin running up the middle of the field untouched. There's nobody within 25 yards of him. I mean, you have to, like I said, you have to do better than that. So I just don't trust them. I don't trust them. Don't trust them at all.
All right. Well, any last words? Any last thing people need to look for in this game against the Bucks?
Oh, I mean, listen, just look for more exciting plays from Tavon Austin because, Brian Schottenheimer is going to design these plays to create the type of mismatches. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because we've seen this before. I'm like, damn, is this a bad dream? I mean, look at the previous Rams Roundup. You go to 2013, you go to 2012, it's like we keep saying the same damn thing. Whether we sit in this office, whether we was over in Orlando, whether I'm at home, whether he's at home, been saying the same thing. Brian Schottenheimer is not going to make it after this season.
Matter of fact, I think that's what we're going to start doing. When they have these bad losses, just dig up an old Roundup. I would do a voiceover, just
That's
save
all you gotta
ourselves some time. Just change the names. Instead of talking about Craig Dahl, now we can talk about, whoever. So, just awful. Rams, do better. You got a fan base, like Palmer said, that wants to support you, but you got to put a better product on the field. So with that said, I think we beat them up enough. So that's all we got for today. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to keep doing videos, reviewing every game each week. So Palmer, it's been a pleasure. Not the game one or the week one that we wanted to start off with.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, football is back.
Yeah. 15 more weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So once again, I'm Ishmael Sistrunk from the St. Louis American and STLAmerican.com here with Palmer Alexander III. This is a Ram Roundup, and we'll see you next week.